Hello guys and welcome back to Championship Predictions. We are back predicting the second tier of English football again this week. The reason we're doing this on Tuesday is because we've got loads of games at the weekend, but we've also got games to catch up on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm joined by Sophie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Set us a like target.
2,200 likes.
2,200. We can easily do that with your great support, so make sure to drop a like and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you once again if you have, but if you haven't, get involved. We're so close to 92k. Sophie, I must reveal that in the Championship predictions, you have closed the gap to 2 points overall. You did very well last week.
Did I? How many points did we get?
You got 9, I got 4.
Okay, yeah, I just need to keep churning out the results now.
It's been a heroic comeback from Sophie. At Christmas time, she was 20 points down, so keep an eye on her predictions. Let's get into the predictions themselves, Sophie. We've got some big games to predict this week, including first taking on second place, but we will come to that towards the end of the video. First of all, Sophie, tonight's game is Preston versus Millwall. It's a proper mid-table matchup, both level on points, both 7 points off the playoffs. It feels like a big game where if one can beat the other, they'd get themselves into the playoff race.
Yeah.
It's really hard to separate the two. You know, Millwall, decent draw against West Brom at the weekend, but Preston, very solid draw against Burnley at the weekend. 0-0, of course. Remember, guys, we are going to predict Preston and Millwall's games at the weekend later in this video. I'm going to just sit on the fence for this one and go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I was tempted to say 1-1. I might go 0-0, another Preston 0-0. It's just really hard to separate these two. They are two solid Championship teams, and on their day, they're both capable of winning. So I'm going down the middle as well, 0-0. They're
both currently projecting to finish in the middle of the table, but just takes a little tweak, a couple more results, and you start to get into the playoff conversation.
Yeah, I think they've both got like one eye on the playoffs. Like, it's not completely ruled out yet, but it's interesting, this playoff race. Yeah,
Preston solid defensively. Their last two results have been a 0-0 against Burnley and a 1-0 away win at Norwich. So, yeah, we will see how that plays out. The next game, Sophie, is on Wednesday night as Luton Town take on Plymouth. It's the bottom two facing off, and this is huge. I mean, it really is a massive opportunity for both to stick the knife in on the other.
I think one team will do it as well. Not to give away my prediction, but I am picking a winner here.
I agree. I'm not going to sit on the fence. Let's quickly talk about the two teams. Yep. Luton Town. Luton, it was better, wasn't it, against Sheffield United?
It was.
You know, they held them until the last 10 minutes and then conceded. It's getting very frustrating now. They just need results. It doesn't matter if the performances are no good, so long as they could just get a few results to give themselves a chance, because this run of form is terrible.
Yeah.
As for Plymouth, there is fight in Plymouth. You know, we've seen them beating Liverpool, beating Brentford, beating West Brom, smashing Millwall. They did lose at the weekend to Blackburn, but if they are to win this game, it's more important than winning that game against Blackburn.
100%.
I am going to go Luton 1, Plymouth 0.
Oh!
I'm backing Luton.
Okay.
I've not had many opportunities to back Luton this season. They better not let me down. By the way, I like Plymouth. I think Plymouth have been the better team recently. But if Luton can't win this, then what can they win?
Well, they'll be getting down, surely. I mean, they're sitting rock bottom for a reason. Their recent performances have been not as bad, but they're not getting the results. Whereas Plymouth have been getting better performances, better results by their last game. I think they're going to get the win here. 2-1 Plymouth. I'm glad we're going either way, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad we're going.
Plymouth.
Yeah, I'm glad we're going in opposite directions. And look, I'm happy to see either of them stay up. I've got a soft spot for both of these clubs, but I just think with Luton having the home advantage, that's why I'm going for them. But we will see. On to Friday night's games. We start with Bristol City versus Middlesbrough, Sophie. A big game in the playoff race. Bristol City, every time it looks like they could get into the top 6, they hiccup, they sneeze, they fall away. Well, they don't fall away, but they're not consistently winning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, whereas other teams are a bit more consistent, and that's why they'll then go ahead of them if they then essentially drop points.
It was dropped points against Cardiff with the late goal conceded. Middlesbrough, though, they lost at home to Watford, and the pressure is mounting on Michael Carrick. Massive game for both. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm going to call a winner. I'm going to go for Bristol City. 2-1.
I think you look at the run of form, and even though Bristol City's is a little bit patchy, Middlesbrough is consistently poor at the moment, and I think they've actually came out and said that they're backing Carrick, which I don't think is a bad thing, to be honest. I can see why they're getting very, very frustrated, but you look at the options out there of who they might bring in, you think, are they any better? I don't know, maybe right now, yes, but in the long term, I don't know. I'm backing Bristol City as well, 2-0.
2-0?
Yeah. I just, right now, I think Bristol City at home, they are more than capable of putting in a good result, and I don't know if I can see that from Middlesbrough right now.
Wow. Share your thoughts down below, guys. It is a massive game. The next game, Sophie, is between Burnley and Sheffield Wednesday. A big game at the top end of the table. Let's start with Burnley, Sophie, who dropped points in a sense. You know, they didn't beat Preston. It was a 0-0. And how many times are they going to draw 0-0? It could really cost them. There is a big opportunity, though, for Burnley this weekend because Leeds are taking on Sheffield United. They can't both win. So Burnley need to win. They need to put the pressure on and try and close one of them down. Sheffield Wednesday, I thought, were good against Coventry. I thought they played well.
To be honest.
They were the better team, and I could understand their frustrations. It felt like Coventry got revenge for the fact that...
Snatch and grab.
Yes, smash and grab. Late goal, because Sheffield Wednesday had done that to us earlier in the season, but... I think Sheffield Wednesday will come here and play quite well, but Burnley are desperate for the win, and I think they might sneak it 1-0.
I know, I'm really annoyed because last week I said, it's probably going to be 0-0, but then back to 1-0, and it was 0-0. So now I'm thinking if I go 0-0, it'll be 1-0. Yeah, I think Sheffield Wednesday will be quite frustrated in their last game. They played quite well. They had more chances than Coventry. They were definitely more on the front foot, but they didn't take some of their chances. I think some of their penalty calls, very, very dubious. Looking back at both of them, neither were a pen for me. But other than that, I think it was a good performance from them, so they will feel hard done by. Burnley, not a great deal to say. Don't think they'll concede again in this one. They just don't concede. 1-0 Burnley. Yeah, I think they might just get back to 1-0 ways. It
does feel like it's either going to be 0-0 or 1-0.
Yeah.
It's quite predictable, actually. Burnley are becoming quite a fun team to predict because you're guaranteed
not fun, but easier.
Yeah, easier team to predict. That's right. On to the next game, Sophie. Derby County take on Millwall. This is a big game. Derby County with a terrible start to the reign of John Eustace away at QPR. A 4-0 defeat. They need to bounce back, and it feels like a game they could bounce back in because they've got the home advantage, and Millwall are not very goaly, if you know what I mean. Like, if Millwall win, I think it'd be like 1-0.
Yeah, you don't really see them panning teams, do you?
So I think Derby will be in the game, and look, what a win it would be if Derby can snatch this, but maybe it will be building blocks. I'm going to go for them to get a draw. I'm going to go Derby 0, Millwall 0, which means I've predicted Millwall to draw twice today.
I might actually go for a Millwall 1-0 win. I think they'll walk away with all 3 points. What I saw from Derby under John Eustace, I know it's just one game, but you actually expect more of a positive bounce rather than splat. And that was, really poor. So maybe they'll bounce back from this and they'll get an emphatic win. Who knows? But right now, I don't see it. Millwall 1-0.
Millwall 1-0. And you've predicted Millwall to get 4 points. That would be a good week.
Yeah. That would be for them, yeah.
On to the next game. Let's go to home park, Sophie. It's Plymouth Argyle again. They take on Cardiff City. This is another big game. Feels like a really defining week for Plymouth. If they manage to beat both Luton and Cardiff...
You think, could they stay up? Yeah.
If they manage to lose both of them, that could be curtains.
Yeah.
It's a really big week. I've predicted them to lose to Luton. I won't predict them to lose this one. Cardiff got a late draw against Bristol City, but...
It can be very, very tricky, Cardiff, can't they? That's why I think this is going to be a draw.
I think it's going to be a draw, yeah. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of fight in Cardiff, but they're not quite doing enough to pull themselves away from the bottom three. It just feels like they're... I personally
just doing enough to stay up.
Yeah. But not comfortably.
Yes, yeah.
I'm saying
a couple
1-1.
jabs here and there, but no finishing blows at all in any of their games. I'm saying 1-1 as well. I think this could be quite a tricky game for both teams, and that's why I see it finishing down the middle, 1-1.
Do share your thoughts on that game at Home Park. A big week for Plymouth Argyle, indeed. The next game, Sophie, is at the Stadium of Light as Sunderland take on Hull City. Sunderland, we've got to talk about Monday night. They took the lead at Ellen Road and they lost. They conceded from 2 Strauch goals. We'll come on to Leeds United later, but to concede a 95th minute winner feels like a really defining moment, a killer blow for Sunderland. Yeah. For Leeds, it's massive. I think that'll be Leeds home and dry now, unless something really goes wrong. But for Sunderland, it will take something special for them to get in the top 2, I think. I mean, technically, if Sheffield United lose to Leeds this week and Sunderland win, they could try and claw back some ground. They've got to win. Sunderland have got to win to have any chance. As for Hull City, it was a good draw against Norwich.
It was, yeah.
1-1. I'm going to go Sunderland 2, Hull 1. I'll just back the Black Cats.
Yeah, I might actually go Sunderland 1-0. I think they might get a clean sheet here. I think they will have to grind it out because Hull can be capable of putting in a good performance. But I think Sunderland, you look at the quality of players and surely they'll win this one. They need to win this one if they want to stay in that top 2 race. So yeah, 1-0, I think they'll do it.
With Hull City, I think a bit like Cardiff, there's quite a bit of fight there. There's good players, they've signed some good players, but they're not
good individual players.
Not doing enough to pull themselves away from trouble either. No,
they might hit a patch in like a couple of games. I know we're running out of games, but they might hit a little green patch, which we'll see them stay up comfortably. But right now, I'm not seeing wins, not back-to-back wins. Possibly a draw.
I was going to say anyone that could stick back-to-back wins together.
Yeah, it's that close, isn't it?
It's massive. On to the next game, Sophie. We will be there at the CBS as Coventry City take on Preston North End. And for those of you that are not aware, Preston are definitely Coventry City's bogey team. We haven't beaten them since football was played in sandals. This is a really big game though for Coventry City because we're just outside the playoff places. For Preston, I mean, Preston will have played in midweek, so that could have taken it out of them. Or maybe if they've won in midweek, they come here with quite a lot of positivity. I don't know. Let's talk about Coventry, Sophie. I am loving what I'm seeing at the minute. We're winning games of football. I don't think the performances are that amazing.
I was going to say that. Say like loving what I'm seeing is sometimes a little bit of a stretch.
No, but the results.
Loving the results. Performances not so much. But ultimately, I've said it before about Sheffield United, Burnley. They're not always playing well, but they're getting the points, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Look, football is a results business. I know it's an entertainment business, but ultimately, if you say Coventry...
Well, the last goals, that's entertaining.
Yeah, that's true.
We're leaving it late.
But if you said to me, Coventry are not going to play well for the rest of the season, but we are still going to find a way to get promoted, I will take it. What I feel like is happening is Coventry are defending well, not creating a lot, but we're snatching games, and it doesn't feel necessarily sustainable. What I mean by that is either the results are going to level out a little bit, more like the performances, which are kind of in the middle, or the performances will start matching up to the results, so we start playing better as well. Either way, I'm loving it. I don't want to rain on Coventry's parade, but I'm going to go Coventry 1, Preston 2.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I tell you what, Sophie...
No, we won't lose
No,
this,
I'm telling you what, Sophie, as soon as I get carried away, we get brought back down to reality. And look, I haven't backed Coventry to lose a game in probably about 3 months. I'm going to stick it out there. I hope I'm wrong, but I just think Coventry might lose.
No, not lose. Surely not. That would be a bad result. I know Preston, I don't know if they turn it on against us or we just turn it off, but last season sticks in my mind. It was a painful one. Surely we can't do that again. I know we've got a different manager in place now. I think a draw. I'm not going to go all out and say, yeah, we beat Preston, because we just never really do that. I know we never really beat Swansea as well, and we went there and did that this season, so who knows. If Frank Lampard can beat Preston, I'll get a poster of him on my wall, but right now I'm hanging fire. I'm going to say 1-1.
You were telling me off for going for a defeat. Like,
Yeah, it's Preston though.
Okay, blooming heck. Neither of us are going for the win. I thought you were going to go for the win.
No, but every time I go for a draw, we seem to then win, so that's what I'm trying to do here.
We'll take it. Share your thoughts down below. Coventry fans, try not to get too upset with us. Just because I think we might lose doesn't mean I want us to lose. Bear that in mind. The next game, Sophie, is between Norwich City and Stoke City. A great win for Stoke City last week, Sophie, beating Swansea 3-1. That goal, was it Baker? Right at the end.
Yeah.
Ooh, outrageous. And Mark Robins got a crucial 3 points there. He now goes away to Norwich, and Norwich are not doing very well. If Norwich don't win this, I'm starting to think, can they make the playoffs? Because they're dropping points where you least expect it.
True.
The thing is, we've said before with Stoke City, Sophie, very hard to predict. It was a great 3-1 win last time. I'm going to go for a 3-1 defeat this time. I'm going to go for Norwich City to finally click. Surely it's a matter of time before Sargent and Sainz get 3 goals between them in a game.
I am backing a Norwich win, but I'm only going to say 2-1. What we've seen under Mark Robins as Coventry City fans is he struggled against Norwich. Then you think, is that the team that's struggling, or is that Mark Robins? So it'd be interesting to see if he could win. You'd be like, bloody hell, okay, it was Coventry. But I don't know, I do think that Norwich really on their day should be winning this one. I think Sargent is a great player. I wouldn't be surprised if he got both of the goals for me, but I think they'll do it, but not comfortably, not too comfortably anyway. So 2-1 for me.
It does feel a little bit harsh on Stoke, but they're like that, aren't they?
Yeah. Like they can turn up one game and then you think, oh, okay. And then the next game you're like, that's the Stoke I know. And then they get panned like 4-0.
Happy to be proven wrong, Stoke fans. On to the next game, Sophie. We go to Fratton Park as Portsmouth take on Queen's Park Rangers. Well, this is difficult, Sophie. It's 2 teams in good form. Pompey have not managed many away wins this season. They won their second one at Oxford last week.
Yes, big result that.
Their first one actually came at QPR, and that's who they're at home to here. And Portsmouth are looking pretty safe now. If they win this, I'll struggle to see them going down, actually. They'd have to really flatline. As for QPR, what a win against Derby, 4-0. And I did think they played well against Coventry. I still think they're a playoff mixed team, if that makes sense. They're going to be in the playoff mix.
Around there,
Let's go for the home advantage. I like Portsmouth at Fratton Park. 2-1.
Okay, I feel like I might have to spice it up and go for a draw then. I like both these teams. I think the home advantage could come into play here. So if I could go 2 ways, it'd be Portsmouth or draw, but obviously you can't do that. So 1-1.
1-1. There you go.
I'll leave it there. Yeah.
Not a bad result for either, I guess.
No, it's not, because they're two. They are good teams. I don't want to be too harsh on Portsmouth and say, but look at the league position, because they can play some real nice football when they're at home. But QPR, on league position alone, they are the better team. So you think, okay, are they the favourites? Maybe ever so slightly, but for me, I think it's going to be a draw.
Okay, do share your thoughts down below. On to the next one, Sophie. We go down to South Wales as managerless Swansea take on managerless Blackburn. That is at the time of recording. Blackburn, I'm sure they'll appoint someone soon, because it has been over a week since Eustace left. But they've done pretty well in that
I was
week.
about to say.
Back-to-back wins, 2-0 wins as well, clean sheets. I mean, Blackburn look better without him.
I was going to say, maybe don't appoint a manager for the rest of the season. It's working.
Keep riding out the no-manager bounce. Speaking of a no-manager bounce, Swansea could do with one. Their form is terrible, and that's why they've parted ways with Luke Williams. Swansea 0, Blackburn 1. I've got to back Blackburn. I think Swansea might put in a slightly better performance now that there's a bit of a change, but I don't think you can look past Blackburn at the minute. They look really solid.
No, do you know what? I might go for their third 2-0 win on the bounce. I know that seems a little bit harsh on Swansea, but ultimately, what I've seen recently, I don't really like what I've seen. It is pretty poor. I know they've then got rid of the manager, so it might be completely different, but right now, I think Blackburn win this, so 2-0.
2-0. Wow. Share your thoughts on that one down below, guys. The next game is at the Hawthorns as West Bromwich Albion take on Oxford United. And West Brom, Sophie, what's going on? Tony Mowbray's not getting the results you'd thought he'd get with this team. As I've said before, I just think they're way too open now in comparison to what they were. I think this fixture's nice though. I mean, Oxford United have definitely improved under Gary Rowett, but to lose 2-0 at home to Portsmouth last week, wasn't like them, was it?
No, it wasn't at all. And it was like one of those games where it's like, well, just don't lose. A draw wouldn't have been terrible. And then to lose in that fashion, you think, no, that wasn't good.
I think this could either be West Brom smash them, because Tony Mowbray teams can do that. It could be like 4-0.
I don't know, they're hard to predict now.
Or it could be like 1-1. Go on, let's meet in the middle. West Brom 2, Oxford 0. I think West Brom are going to win. I think they need to win because Coventry are breathing down their necks. But as for Oxford United, yeah, have they maybe got themselves into a position where they're pretty safe and they've taken their foot off the gas maybe?
Possibly, but you can't really afford to do that too much. I don't see them winning this one. You know, I might just say West Brom 1-0. I think the clean sheet will do them some good, actually. And I think Armstrong will score. I think he needs to. He's a very, very good player. I think when he gets that goal, then confidence will shoot up, and that'll obviously benefit West Brom. But yeah, I don't think Tony Mowbray will prioritise the clean sheet because he doesn't tend to do that. But I think if they can get one, it'd be great. I think they'll get 3 points, though.
There you go. The next game, Sophie, is at Vicarage Road. It's a derby as Watford take on Luton, and it is a massive game. It does feel like it could hinge on what Luton do in midweek first. I've backed them to beat Plymouth. You've backed them to lose to Plymouth. That could really shape how they come into this game. But for Watford, it was a great away win at Middlesbrough last week. And every time you start to think, Watford won't make the playoffs, they get a win and they're like still in the mix.
They're still in the picture, but for me, I've already ruled them out, to be honest.
I don't think they're one of the favourites to make the playoffs, but they're still hanging around with the playoff chasers.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's a derby, isn't it?
I've backed Luton to win in midweek. I'm going to back Watford. Sorry, Luton. Watford 2, Luton 1.
Oh, the Luton fans are going to think I hate them. I'm going for another loss. It's 2 losses on the bounce. Oh, predictions anyway. 2-0 Watford. I know anything can happen in a derby game, but I said 5-10 minutes ago about Luton. I don't like what I'm seeing in regards of results. They might turn it on for this one, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think Watford, the home side, I think they'll get the win here.
There you go, both back in Watford. Do share your thoughts down below. The final game then, Sophie, is at Bramall Lane as Sheffield United take on Leeds United. And if Luton versus Plymouth in midweek is the biggest game of the season down at the bottom, this might be the biggest game of the season up at the top because it's first versus second. Look, if Burnley don't beat Sheffield Wednesday on the Friday, then this game might not mean as much because it could be that everyone else can't catch them and Sheffield United and Leeds ride off into the sunset. They've both been amazing. Bear in mind Sheffield United have had a 2-point deduction, so they would pretty much be level with Leeds this season. Leeds on the eye have impressed me more, and what a win against Sunderland, you know, to do it in that fashion as well. Strauch, like I say, was the hero. Sheffield United seem to grind results out. I think this could be low scoring, and I'm going to go Sheffield United 0, Leeds 1.
Oh, okay, fair play to you. You are actually picking a winner. See, I'm fully bottling this. I'm going down the middle. I'm saying 1-1. I completely agree. I think it does depend on the Burnley result. Not saying that both teams will then play out a draw. I just see it ending a draw. They're just two really, really good teams. So 1-1 for me. Sheffield United and Leeds United fans, do share your thoughts down below on that one. It is a massive game up at the top. It might not mean a lot come the end of the season if they both end up getting promoted, but it really is a big game. Right now, you'd fancy these two to be the ones to get over the line? I'd say so, yeah, they're my top two. Unless Burnley can be a bit more consistent, or maybe Sunderland, but Sunderland are a long way off. There you go then, guys. That is our championship predictions for midweek and the weekend. There's plenty of games going on. Join us again for Tuesday next week when we've got even more games going on. Make sure to drop a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Your support has been fantastic so far. Keep it coming, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, Sophie. Take care, and peace out.